everyone, Cam again from Turtleshell Software, here to tell you the ins and outs of Visual Studio, the benefits of it, and some quick tips for beginners to get you started programming with Visual Studio. If you don't know what Visual Studio is, it's an Integrated Development Environment, or IDE. In a nutshell, an IDE is what we use, it's a software that we use to create applications, typically consisting of at least a code editor, build automation, and a debugger. The benefits of using Visual Studio when programming with C# are that it's a Microsoft product designed mostly for C# programming. It has some fantastic IntelliSets, making your coding much more efficient. It's got some great integration with external tools such as version control as well as SQL databases. And it enables you to create and publish several different applications, types of applications, such as your web applications, console apps, and mobile applications. My favourite thing about Visual Studio, Community Edition that is it's free, and that's always a big tick in my book. That being said, it's still a fully functional software, even though it is free, so don't feel like you're going to be restricted. If you need help downloading or installing Visual Studio, please see the description below or in the comments. There's a link there that I'm going to post to a blog article on my website, and it's basically just a written version of what I'm trying to tell you here. So otherwise, let's jump into Visual Studio and open up a project.
Now, I've covered this before, but we're just going to run through it quickly again. We're going to create a new project, and for the purpose of this tutorial, it's just going to be another console application. So we're going to select the console application, make sure it's C#, and hit next. Give the project a name. For the purpose of this, we're going to call it Visual Studio Intro. And I'm just going to leave it at the default location, and the solution name is generally the same as the project name in this situation. Then we hit next. Leave it on the target framework, which is the latest one at this time, .NET 5.0, and create project. If you're running Visual Studio with a default configuration, you're going to notice there's three main points of interest, and that would be the code editor window, the solution explorer to the right here, and the output down the bottom. Now obviously the code editor, that's where you write all your code, all your programming. It's pretty basic and self-explanatory. The solution explorer on the right, it basically gives you a list of your entire project and all the files that are in it. Sorry, not your project, your solution and all the files that are within them. So you'll notice here the solution at the top, and you can actually have several projects. Most of the time it's just one to begin with, but sometimes there can be many. You can see the program.cs, which is actually the file that we're working with at the moment. And it's just a basic file system like anything else. If you want to add folders and other files, you can just do that. So we'll select the current project by right-clicking. We'll go down to add, we'll just add a new folder. And a fairly conventional folder to add to C# programs is the models. And under that is generally where you store a bunch of classes if you have them. So we'll do that by right-clicking, add, and you can either add class or new item. They'll both get you to the same point at some stage. When you select new item, you're going to get a whole list of different items to use here, and don't be intimidated by the different names and just the sheer amount of them, because not a lot of people know what every single item here will do. For the moment, just stick with class. It's probably one of the basic things you're going to be using over and over again. And down the bottom here is where you would name your class. For this project, I'm just going to leave it as class 1 and click add. You can see the file structure here. It's just added it underneath the models, and that's exactly what we want. You can see the class name over here, class and class, all this has been auto-generated. So after that, I want to show you the output window here, and it's not just the output window that's down in this bottom section by default. You also have the error list, which is also very handy. But the output window is going to show you A lot of the time, if you have a console.writeLine or debug.writeLine, the message will generally pop up here. You can use that for debugging sometimes. It's quite helpful. Over on your error list, this is generally where you're going to get errors and warnings. And the errors that pop up or the warnings that pop up are generally going to pop up during compile time, and it's going to tell you why your program's not building. The last thing that I wanted to do for this Visual Studio intro was just run through some quick shortcut keys that are extremely useful for beginners. We'll go back to the program.cs file, and one thing that is probably the most important is the save file or save all file. Now, as you can see, I've just entered a space over here, and this little yellow bar has popped up. That indicates that we have a line that is unsaved. Now, we can either go up to the top here and we have save program or save all. And as you can see there, it actually shows you the shortcut Control S or Control Shift S. Now this is pretty standard across a lot of programs, like Control S you'll find in things like your text files and Word documents. It's pretty universal. But for Visual Studio, I generally smash the Control Shift S for save all files, because that won't just save the file that you're on, it'll save any other files that you haven't made any changes to. So as you can see, Control Shift S and it goes away. Happy days. Some more pretty standard shortcuts are your home and your end key. So as you can see, my cursor is currently sitting at the end. If I want to jump to the beginning of a line, we can just hit the home key, and vice versa. If you want to go to the end, you just hit the end key. And for fast navigation through a line, you can use your left and right arrows to go individual characters, but if you want to jump whole words, you just hold down Control and then the arrow key, and it's a lot quicker. There's also the duplicate shortcut, and that's just Control D. If you put it at the end of a line and then hit Control D, that's all it'll do. Like, it'll just duplicate that exact same line over and over and over. And you probably won't have to use duplicate a heck of a lot, because it goes against a lot of programming principles. Another standard one is Control Z. That's your undo key. So there we go, we've undone all that now. We've got copy, cut and paste. Once again, these are universal sort of hotkeys. So if I want to copy this line, I just highlight it and then Control C. And I can Control V and paste it there. Likewise, I can Control X, and if I want to put it somewhere else, just Control V, and there it is there. So I'll just get rid of that again. One of the other most used keys, hotkeys that you're going to come across, or that you're going to want, is the comment and uncomment keys. And you can actually just comment and uncomment by clicking these buttons up the top here, as you can see, but I like to use the shortcut. So I want to comment out this line. I'm going to highlight it. Well, you don't have to highlight it if you're just doing a single line, but you Control K C. There you go. And that's commented out, and it won't be executed in our program now. Likewise, if you want to uncomment, we'll highlight it and Control K U, and that's usable again. We have the run program, which is F5. And it's just showing the hello world. If you want to stop running the program, I mean, we could hit any key for this, but if we're running perhaps like a Xamarin application, if you just wanted to shortcut out of that, you would just Control F5 and that's going to stop it. There's all sorts of little shortcuts that you'll find out on your way, and what works for you might not necessarily work for somebody else, but you'll find and you'll use the ones that you like. I quite often do things like if tab, there you go, and that's an if statement without me having to type in these little brackets or the curly brackets. Another one is the quick options, and that's Control KS, and you can see we can actually do a variety of different things here. We can put things in a region if we highlight it and wrap it in a region. We can type out a for loop, just generate a for loop or a for each loop, and let's just do that. We hit enter and there you go. It's got all the syntax for a for loop. Just ignore that because that's just a placeholder. We can make that 5 and it'll go away. So if I wanted to wrap this in a for loop, for example, I'll hit Control KS and then just type in 4 and it jumps straight down to 4 and we hit enter and there you go, it's wrapped around our console.writeLine already. And let's just run that for fun. I'll get rid of this second one because it's unnecessary now. F5 to run and boom, hello world 5 times, nice. I'll put this short cheat list up on my website on the news article that's related to this video. It's going to get bigger as I go. I'll either add to this one or I'll make more advanced ones further down the line just to help out beginners but also not clutter them with too much information. I really hope that you've been able to learn something from this video. If you would like a video on something specific related to C#, please let us know in any sort of comment forms. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe, you know the drill. Help us out and I can make more programming videos. They're only going to get more advanced and easier to understand as I learn as well how to make better videos. And if you like this tutorial, make sure you jump on our website and check out our other tutorials. They're also there in written form. So I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. Bye!